Here's Corin. Here we have a victim. Someone has come to meet us. This is fantastic. How are you?
Good.
I'm Corin.
Victoria.
Lovely to meet you, Victoria.
Nice to meet you.
I know my camera work is terrible, but the fellas are getting their stuff together. But we're going to sit down and have a chat, and we're going to get to know Victoria better. See you in a sec. I love it. Recording. All right. Hi, welcome to the campsite.
Thank you.
This is so cool of you to do this.
Oh, I think it's great of you guys to be doing this.
Really?
Yeah, and I think more people should.
Well, I appreciate that. That is right out of the box. She comes with a whammy. A whammy. I love that.
I mean, it's true. We need more dialogue.
Your head is gone. Oh, my head is missing? Yeah. That's okay. We don't need my head. It's okay. We're not going to cut because I'm going to let all of my little foibles, even the camera ones, stay. Yeah. It's been interesting for us so far. We just did a catch-up video that was pretty enlightening. But I'd love to just get into the meat of things.
Yeah.
And just find out kind of the basics. You know, what was the you don't have to use your full names or anything like that. As much anonymity as you prefer, you're welcome to have. But I do like to start by asking, the name that you were given by your parents at birth.
Victoria.
Okay. Yeah, it's a beautiful name. Well, because some people change their names or they like for me, I have like 5 names, so I don't know which one to go by anymore. So I just go by anything except for the rude stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't tell people I respond to anything. Fine.
And where were you born?
Reno, Nevada.
Reno, Nevada. I've been there. That's. Is there a nickname for it that the locals have?
The biggest little city in the world. I know back in the 80s, the punks used to call it Skino.
What is it?
I don't know, but
you don't know what it means?
I don't know what it means. They used to call it Skino, but I mean, our claim to fame is being the biggest little city in the world.
And why do you think that they call it the biggest little city in the world?
I mean, we hold the title for the most Santa Clauses.
Really?
In one spot. I mean, there's a lot of different world records that we've set.
Really?
It's a small area, but there's so many people there.
Yeah.
It's still growing.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I've been to Reno a couple of times, not to gamble because I don't gamble, but I went up there just to hang out and stuff like that. Yeah. How long did you live in Reno for?
Gosh, until I moved here last year. So I'm 27, turning 28. I moved here in 2019.
Wow. Okay.
January 2019.
So what was it like growing up in Reno? What was during the time period that you were growing up there?
It was good.
When you were, so if you're 27, wow, I mean, I can't even, you were born in the 90s, in 92.
Yeah.
So by the time you were of age to kind of be running around the streets a little bit, like 7, 8 years old, between that and like 13, what was kind of the daily activities of you and your friends, or like what would you do?
Just a lot of things. I go play with the neighborhood kids, ride my bike. I love to draw and write and paint. As I grew older, I gained an interest in technology and politics, so talking about anything and everything under the sun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's kind of what it was like for me. I'm a conservative Christian and went to church, was raised in my church, helped out and served there for a long time and did different things from worship and childcare.
Yeah.
Was a barista for a while.
Wow.
Stuff, so.
Wow, that's and what so that being said, in the Reno area, what were your parents like when you were growing up? Are they still together? Or?
Yeah, they're still together. They actually just celebrated their 28th wedding anniversary back in May.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. And what were they like as parents?
They always told me right from wrong, automatically.
Mm-hmm.
They raised me to know, obviously based off the Bible and stuff, but I mean just general right and wrong, be kind, be respectful. Even if someone is mean to you, you don't be mean back.
Yeah, it's the old adage, the sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
They raised me to be very strong and independent, to always think for myself, question everything. Yeah.
That's a very big benefit. Now, did they also raise you I guess without getting too in detail in it, but did they raise you somewhat religiously? Was that part of the fundamentals of their lifestyle, or was that something you discovered on your own?
No, like my parents are Christian.
Okay.
Both of them were pastors' kids and stuff like that. So they were raised in the church, and then I was raised in church. But they always told me it was always my decision. You know, if I wanted to follow Christ, follow God, you know, go that path, it was my decision, and that, you know, it's not something they can decide for me.
Yes, exactly.
And they never put me in a position where I felt like I had to choose what they wanted over what I thought was right for me. And so it's always been my own choice. But they always gave me like the knowledge, like, here's the Bible, here's what it says, but if you don't want it, I'll pray for you.
Sure, absolutely, and I think that really is a testament to your parents' kind of foresight, because a lot of times when you put punishments and penalties and rules and regulations in place where there's no misbehavior, or there's no wrongdoing or things like that, or maybe there's stuff that was like really menial, could be overlooked. But my point is that being able to say, look, we trust you to make the right choices for you and your life, and we're just going to give you some advice and some guidance along the way, and the rest is up to you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so once I got to the age of where they need to let me start making decisions on my own and stuff. I mean, when you're a little kid, when you're like 3 years old, it's like, it's my rules. Like, you're going to obey me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the parent. But then when you get into like the teen years and stuff, you start slowly letting go, stepping back as a parent, I'm sure, and start letting your kid make the decisions. Tell them, like, well, if you want to put your hand on the stove when it's on, this is what's going to happen, but it's your decision.
Right.
That's kind of how it was. I didn't put my hand on the stove.
No, of course.
Yeah.
But as an analogy, I totally get it. Yeah, of course, I totally get it.
My mom was always open with me with her mistakes that she made and paths that she had gone down, and just based off like her experiences and what I saw in her life, I'm like, I don't want to go down that way. I'll avoid that.
Yes, absolutely.
And, so I mean, they were very, very open and welcoming with that, and letting me start making decisions and mistakes. I've made plenty, still do.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, we all do that, for sure. And it's how we overcome them, and how does that change our character in overcoming them, or do we become defeatist and allow our mistakes to define us and keep repeating them? Well, as you were getting into your teen years, did you have any any forward kind of any projected idea for yourself? What did you want to become? What did you want to do in life? Was there like, because I know you said you draw and paint and all that, and you have an artistic side, but was there some kind of something you were working towards as you were in high school?
There was always something. Like, I always wanted to be a published author. I always wanted to. I have this fiction series that I just keep working and refining, and say one day.
Do it now. I have on Lulu.com. They are the easiest. I'll give a pitch for Lulu.com, even though they have nothing to do with this. But they have a really great, easy system to work with. The software is really, really simple. You can get your book formatted, uploaded, everything within less than an hour.
Oh, that makes it
and they have art templates that you can do and stuff like that. So if you ever want to publish, and there's no upfront costs, so it's by it's by the order. So there's zero upfront cost for you, which benefits being able to just get your book out there.
Yeah, definitely.
To say that it's out there.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great idea. So I mean, that's still something that I'm going to do. Like, it went from, okay, I have this story, I'm going to work on it, I'm going to publish it in my teen years, and now it's become something I'm tired of saying I'm just going to do it, never do it. So I'm actively working on that one.
Yeah, you got to do it.
But there were tons of things that I wanted to do. It was hard for me to choose just one, because there were so many different routes I could go. I've definitely currently have gone into one other. I was very big into computers and technology and stuff, and that's what I do right now. Okay. So there's that.
And what, without getting into details about where what you do for a living or anything like that, what drew you to an interest in being in the tech world or the tech field?
Well, because with how I was seeing technology growing and growing and growing, I mean, it was definitely a field to go into, and I thought that would be stable for if I had a family someday.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would be a stable career.
There you go again with your forethought.
That's something that my parents kind of instilled in me, is to try to think of, your choices now could affect your future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but how many people apply it? That's the difference. So
Yeah.
I have to give you a lot of hats off to the fact that you took some great advice and actually applied it and it worked for you. And that's an example for other people for sure. Um, wh- with the when you left high school, did you go straight into college? Did you take some time off, or did you not go to college? You skip college? I didn't go to college, but
I went to Bible college
okay.
for a year.
Is that kind of like a seminary school type of thing, or it's just
kind of what it was at that time? It wasn't accredited. It's accredited now, the one I went to, but it wasn't accredited, and it was more so to hone in and like really learn and deep dive into the Bible. I mean, I also learned graphic design and counseling and other stuff there.
My mom was a graphic designer when I was growing
nice.
up. Yeah.
Super fun.
Yeah.
So I mean, I learned other things too, but it was something personal for me because I wanted to take some time, and really I love studying the Bible, and I just wanted to just dive in with that and be surrounded by other people.
Yeah, that's a deep dive, all right.
Yeah.
I've never been able to read the entire Bible myself, but there's been sections when I was reading other books that would talk about certain areas of it. I would go and then read that whole little section just to get my head around what this person's trying to talk about or that person is. But
yeah, definitely.
But haven't exactly sat myself down to do the whole entire thing end to end. It's a big read, but that's amazing because
there are parts that are a little bit more difficult, I'm sure.
Well, yes, of course, and then there's some pretty wild stuff in there too.
Yeah.
A Song of Solomon and some other things. What do you think? That said, what do you think from kind of a cosmological perspective? Sort of a metaphysics. What do you think this kind of deep dive and this understanding of this? These ancient tales, this ancient time period, this rising and falling of civilizations and the finding of peace and serenity and harmony in new ways of practicing your religion, because it goes from Old Testament God to New Testament God, and they're quite different.
Yeah, so that's actually really interesting because I just had a conversation with someone about that. Old Testament God and New Testament, they're still the same God.
Of course they are.
The difference is that now we have Jesus.
Right.
That's here as a sign of salvation. So basically, Old Testament was making the way for Jesus to come.
Right.
For prophecy.
Right.
The New Testament is prophecy fulfilled.
Yes, understood.
And so, looking at it from that perspective, it makes it really fun. I don't want to say like reading the Old Testament was less fun, but it makes it more like wow when you read the Old Testament to see all the prophecy, when you read the New Testament and see Jesus fulfilled, and then the warnings of what we see now in our culture,
sure,
in society, in the world. It's like,
well, that's I mean, thinking in those terms, because not everybody thinks in kind of cosmological. I like to call it cosmological or metaphysical terms, where there's an actual metaphysical landscape and reality that's senior to the physical one we're in, and the battle for our hearts and our minds and our souls takes place in that metaphysical landscape, and manifests in the physical landscape.
Definitely.
The winning and losing manifests in the physical landscape.
I think because I am constantly trying to like grow my faith, and I know that the more closer I get to God, the more my faith will grow. But I think that also brings me so much peace, because I don't have fear of man.
Right.
I don't have fear of anything that's happening now, because I know
you have a deeper faith.
I have a deeper faith.
Yeah.
I know that God's in control, and that whatever happens for a reason. Now, does that mean I should just stand by and be like, okay?
Well, they say faith without works is dead. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, I need to be out there and talking, and that's what I've been doing. I'm very vocal on Facebook for and other social medias
It's
about things.
not always the wisest move to make. I've gotten myself into a few snafus,
Oh yeah,
haven't
no,
I, on
I've
Twitter?
been suspended off of Twitter multiple times.
Twitter
It's
jail,
fine.
old Twitter jail.
Oh, it's my favorite.
You know-
Facebook jail too. I actually was suspended off Instagram for 6 months and fought 6 months to get my account back.
Wow.
Yeah.
I figure like when they do that, they should at least do something rather amusing and like put like jail bars
Right?
over your page. So when someone goes to it, you know, they just have your icon and it's behind bars now.
That would be fun.
Some people might go, you know what? I kind of like it. It's safer for my fake online identity to remain.
Mm-hmm.
When this particular faith, this belief in and knowingness, this innate knowingness of being connected to something that's deeper and more powerful and that than we are. When did that start to really take root?
I would probably say when my mom got sick.
Mm.
I was like 9.5, and I know she's super open and stuff about it, but anyway, she got sick.
Yes.
Something happened, and she had a surgery that failed, and then it just was a cataclysm to everything else.
Right.
And I think seeing someone who was a corporate trainer and like this strong mom,
Yeah.
and then I'm taking care of her, it's like overnight. And I think that's when, because we've gone through so much with her, and thankfully, like, she's still kicking.
That's fantastic.
Still kicking. It's great.
Yes.
But
You bet it is.
I think that's when everything that I learned really early just solidified and became like, your mom is mine.
Yeah.
I'm taking care of her.
Yeah.
You know, and just God just giving me that peace. And sure, there were times when I'm like, why her? You know, it's human to question when awful things are happening.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
at the end of the day, it was just that's when it did. And then I kind of drifted a bit, and then I'd say probably when I moved here, it came back stronger than ever.
Well, that's
It
interesting.
was
So
my first time away from my parents
Right.
completely, in a place where I don't have any fallback.
right. And so what brought you, without, obviously don't have to go into too much detail on it, but what brought you from Reno to Shreveport? Because it couldn't have been the weather.
No, I hate the weather. Thank you. No, actually, my fiance and his family are here, and I didn't have the heart to make him leave the job that he loves
Yeah.
and the career that he loves, so I left the one that I loved.
Are you able to pick up here somehow?
I would have to create an entire business from scratch, and
all you got is time now.
That's true, but not with this one.
No?
No, this one was like there's only 5 AMCs that hired for what I did.
Oh,
And
okay.
none of them are in Louisiana.
Right.
And it would be really crazy to create a company and try to go up against those giants. And that's not really a giant that I feel like I should be fighting.
You're talking about the AMC, the movie theaters?
No. So it's real estate companies.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
They're
yeah,
like,
okay.
I don't remember the actual meaning behind AMC, but basically what they do is they make sure that finance companies and lenders get proper evaluations and
I see.
updates on conditions of houses and foreclosures and stuff like that. There's just a lot to that, but yeah.
It does. It sounds like a bowl of pasta.
Oh yeah, definitely. So,
Um,
but that's what I did, and God's been gracious in providing work and stuff here. And,
yeah.
You know. So.
Well, what's that like then? Letting go of your safety net that, not that it was a safety net, but, jumping out of your plane without a chute, so to speak, when you're like, okay, I've met this person, this is, I see something here. You've obviously have a good track record of forethought. So, did you have a moment of just sudden clarity, or was it something you just knew right offhand, or did you go through a challenging time within yourself to say, hey, I'm gonna let go of everything for me, for him? Was she gonna let go of something for me, or was it never like that?
Yeah, so there was a lot of thoughts and emotions when it came to that. When he had asked me, like, hey, do you would you like, because we were distant. So I don't know if you've heard what Discord is, but we met
Yes,
on
of
Discord.
course, sure.
So we met on Discord. There is a YouTuber named Matt Christensen.
Uh-huh.
And he holds Sunday and Wednesday night podcast called Beauty in the Beta.
Oh,
With
okay.
his co-host who goes by Blonde in the Belly of the Beast online. And so we actually met on his Discord. We're the first couple to like actually meet on Discord to get engaged, and then we're getting married this year. So we met on there, and so fast forward, and he's like, "Would you like, do you want to break the distance?" And we were talking about me moving there. I know that if I had asked him like, "Hey, will you just move here?" he would have.
Yeah.
But
really? Okay.
he just where he works and everything is just so great, you know. And I didn't think it was right to ask him to leave that yet.
Right.
And so we were praying for months, and he came to meet me and my family for the first time. And then when we were around each other, and how like my parents liked him, my dad loves him, I was like, okay. And then we were praying, God, if I'm supposed to leave,
Mm-hmm.
provide the way, open the doors, because I mean there is money involved.
Oh yeah.
Make my car had to be fixed. I mean there is a lot, and everything worked out. And
Well, trust me, I did some praying before we got in this thing.
Definitely.
Yes. Wow.
Definitely, and all the doors opened, so we're like, okay, well, my dad and I packed my car, and he drove with me and moved out here. It was our first father-daughter road trip.
What was that like?
It was great. It was a good time. It was a lot of driving. We get to the hotel about midnight, sleep for 3 hours, and keep going.
Oh, so you guys were this wasn't a leisurely trip for you.
No, we did the drive in 3 days.
I don't know how long it would be, not in 3 days, but it sounds pretty quick.
If you want like a good relaxing road trip, I'd probably take an entire week.
Right. Yeah, because I mean I know just going from Houston to LA a number of times. I mean you can do it in 2 days, but it's just absolutely, it's 11 hours a day.
Yeah.
Driving, 12 hours a day driving.
Yeah.
Which to me is too much. I can do about 8 and I'm spent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Curiously, now that you're settled here in a new place,
Mm-hmm.
what's it been like making an adjustment to a new environment, meeting new people, especially being a fish out of water on the work side, having to do stuff that you don't normally do? How's that adjustment been for you?
It was difficult at first because, like, back home, I'm used to just getting jobs. Like, I apply and get it, right? And then I come here, and I had a job lined up, and it turned out to not work out. And I'm like, well, that was not great. That's unpleasant. But I just kept praying, like, God, I know you're going to provide, and then I would get work to...
But this was not when you say that. When you say obviously, you're praying, for the divine, not intervention, but that some extra energy out there from being in close contact with the Creator. But you were actively pursuing the work
I
and
was
putting
applying for places, going to interviews, following up on statuses of my applications, going in, following up. Like I would hit the ground running and do the work.
Yeah.
But it would take longer, and I didn't understand why, because I would get, you're overqualified, or we've gone to some
that's a
other
strange
person.
one, huh?
I know, I don't understand that. It's like, well, probably, but I still want to do the job. Like,
yeah, exactly. In fact, I can do it even better because I am overqualified. Right?
there we go. See, but no, it took a bit, and then I would get a job, and then I got a more paying job, and it worked out, but it took a lot of actively checking on applications, applying. I probably put in at least 50, 60 applications a day, and then waiting I had a 2-day wait before I would start calling.
Right.
And then I would say, can I talk to the hiring manager?
Right.
Because not every place has one manager that does everything, and going in and...
That's actually a good thing to know. Remember that. Remember to ask if they have a hiring manager if you're ever in a situation like this, because you might be able to work around someone who's a block.
Yeah, it's very true. But also when you're calling and you're talking to the hiring manager, sometimes they do a phone interview right then and there, and then
That's great.
or they'll schedule your interview right then and there if you get them on the phone too.
Yeah. So that kind of again, that kind of forward thinking and being, you know, not only not, it seems like being passionate about yourself and knowing that you're a capable person and you're going to bring something to the table no matter what you do. You know, that kind of confidence. It is that something that you had to nurture to get to, or was it something that you sort of just had naturally? Like, were you a little bit more of a shy, timid child, and then became this
It's kind of
certain?
funny because when I was a little girl, I was very confident and very outgoing and very not shy.
Oh, okay.
And then as I was growing older, I went into
A
my shell
cocoon. Yeah.
completely.
What
And
age was? What age around? What age do you think that was around?
probably high school, to be honest.
High school. High school
Yeah.
can be rough.
High
Oh,
school was really rough. And then I started coming more out in college. And then I think right before I moved here is when I was like, "No, I don't care anymore."
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know I've never been to college, but I can imagine that at least the social aspect of being a new person in a new college versus being in, not saying a new person in a new high school, but in high school, a lot of the kids have known each other for years and
Yeah.
years, and the bullying thing has been around. Like, people know, have targeted persons and this
Oh,
and
yeah.
and that kind of stuff. But what was it like to get out of high school, this sort of factory setting, this educational factory setting that was not apparently not that great of an experience for you at that time, into a college setting where there's a different kind of social dynamic, you know?
Yeah, so I was actually homeschooled. I was part of like
Oh,
high
really?
school co-ops and stuff like
Oh,
that.
you're kidding? Okay.
So I had all the social life
Yeah.
out there. But I mean, I still dealt with the same things that you would at a normal high school. I still dealt with bullying. I still dealt with um, friends stabbing you in the back and the front, everywhere
Right.
else, and all the negatives and all the positives too. I mean, I understand that all. I went through it all. I think and depending on where you go, they say high school never ends, and
Right.
so I think more people in college understand that what we do can affect other people.
Sure.
But I also think that some people just don't want to grow up and they want to stay in high school, and that was my experience at college too. Even though it was a Bible college, you're still human.
Yeah,
You still
absolutely.
take yourself everywhere. So even at Bible college, I met people that were amazing and super kind and loving, and I met people that were not so nice.
Yeah.
But I think going through everything in high school taught me how to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Now,
college.
speaking of the homeschooling type of experience, do you, are there times when you look and think, oh gosh, I would have liked to have gone to regular junior high or regular high school and had that experience? I mean,
Sometimes, yes. Like when I hear about, my fiance's brother, like different stories of them, or if I see television,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, oh, it would have been nice to like go to high school and then have me and my friends all come to my house and
yeah,
after school, or do this and that. And I had every opportunity to like join clubs or do sports and stuff like that too, just like in high school. But then I realized that I was so blessed to not have to deal with as much craziness that high school does bring.
yeah, that's
It was definitely a covering and a shelter for me, not in a negative way. It was really good because then I didn't have to do Common Core. I was actually taught stuff that they don't teach in high school, especially
Yes,
like
exactly.
home ec and life skills, budgeting, and taxes, like things they don't teach you in school. I learned
that they should.
that they should. That I just learned it better that way.
Um, excuse me, I was trying not to cough like the whole
You're
time.
fine.
Thank you. I don't have COVID, I promise. Uh, that said, with with life now, then, and everything. You see, I understand too, because when I was in doing the acting thing when I was a young kid, I did a lot of school on set,
Mhm.
and I had some great teachers, and I was I was, be given the work from the public school I was at. And when I would get back to school, I would be like, if I did like a 3 month gig and was on school set for that 3 months and had the 3 months worth of work, by the time I got back to school, they had only gotten through 1 month of that 3 month schedule. Because it's just in 3 months, it's how long it takes to try and get, 50, 60 kids in the class to keep up, to do the things, da, 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 da. So when I would get back, I'd have nothing to do. So it was great.
Yeah.
I would just kind of hang out and go and do stuff in the halls and run around for the teachers. But I learned a lot more in that personal one-on-one relationship that I had with the set teachers, for sure. In that pursuit of interest that you have in kind of knowing how the world kind of operates in a deeper sense, do you feel like having that faith, having this faith that sets you on a spiritual path? I want to try and steer away from words like religion and things like that are triggering words, but a spiritual path, because I think it's really important, that a spiritual path be. It's an important part of my life, but I think it's an important thing for people to consider if they haven't, But so what I would love to know is what do you think having a spiritual spine or a path that is it's one that has a kind of a supporting religious thesis behind it, that supports a moral a moral structure for the society and then an ethical structure for the individual, how has that worked for you?
Honestly,
Or how does it help you is what I mean.
yeah, no, it helps a lot because like I said earlier, it has given me strength that I don't even understand. There are stuff that happened that I just don't know how things worked out.
Yeah.
And or how I made it through the situation, or how people I know survived situations. I mean, it gives me strength with that.
Do you have an example of any of that, or like do you have like
I mean, my mom.
Your mom, okay.
And I mean, I wasn't really supposed to be born. There's complications with them. My
Okay.
mom has had issues with that. My sister Chelsea is also
Yeah.
a miracle baby. My aunt last night, her and her hubby experienced miracle. She gave birth to her baby.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It was a miracle baby for sure. And
Every baby is a miracle
yeah,
baby,
definitely.
isn't it?
But I think I've just seen so much. I've seen people try to kill themselves and survive, and they're like, there's no way I was supposed to survive that. There's no way I would have survived that.
Right.
And they're here. And I guess I've just seen too much to prove to me that there's more than just me.
Absolutely.
And it's given me strength that I don't understand with that. It's given me peace in times when, I mean, obviously I'm human. I've had moments of like complete anguish and deep depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. And then I just remind myself, I'm like, you're not alone. Like, your Father in heaven has you. And then I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah, this situation sucks, but it's gonna get better.
we all have our own burning bush.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's helped with that. There are lots of situations going on in the world now, especially in America, that seem like certain movements or certain, trying to be careful what I say too, certain things sound good, right, to the itching ear.
Yeah.
But when you look into it and when your spirit is telling you it's not good, I'm like, okay, all right. And it's helped me make better decisions and some choices that at the time I didn't seem like they were really that big. When I'm listening to what the Spirit's telling me to do, it works out so much better for me in the end.
Yes.
It's not always easy. It's not. There is a time when, I don't want to say I was weak to the faith, but I was really stuck on the fact that we're supposed to love each other no matter what. And I made some friends. And what they would say didn't sound right to me. Like, I knew from, like, a conservative or a biblical perspective, like, no, that's not right. I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, you're right. That's your truth. Speak your truth. Yeah. And I saw that like my life was starting to go in not a great direction.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Because I was making those compromises.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a parable. It's from an African kind of parable that it's not the parents that raise the children; it's the village eventually.
Right.
You know, and if the ethics that the child is being taught by the parents in the home is diametrically opposed to the moral compass of the. It's sort of like the story of Lot and his family going into Sodom and
Yeah, exactly.
and having I mean, obviously getting too deep into that rabbit hole that because of what happened with him and his daughters later. So you have to wonder whose ethical standards are what. But that said, blame it on the wine. Blame it on the wine.
They're still human at the end of the day. Mistakes still happen, and that's why you see consequences. All right.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's like that. It's like you're given a commandment to run and don't look back, and this is what's going to happen, and then you look back.
If you do, exactly.
The burner is hot. If you put your hand on it, it's going to burn.
That's interesting to me. What do you think that the parable, the pillar of salt, what do you think that means as an analogy to you? You know.
Oh, that's perfect. I got that. So I actually almost turned into a pillar of salt. When I say that I made some friends, they were very into social justice and things like that. So you can imagine the rabbit holes and the rabbit trails that we get into. And of course I was like, no, like guys, we gotta love one another. And yes, it's true. We are to love one another, and we are to be respectful and kind. You never know what someone is fighting.
Yeah.
You know, from battle. But we are also not to compromise, and we are to stand in truth.
Yeah, well, that's the integrity side of it. You can't compromise your own integrity.
And that was the problem. I was. And my depression and anxiety grew worse and worse and worse. And I was not reading my Bible every day. And my relationships were suffering. And I was at odds with my parents. And, I mean, I could just see, like, I knew, like, the Spirit was telling me, like, you need to leave them and you need to come back to me. You need to turn away. You need to run. And I wasn't. And I was just seeing, like, in my own life, like, I don't want to live anymore.
Right.
I mean, it was bad. And then I was like, one of my friends and I at that time, we got into a fight over a difference of opinion. And I didn't think it was that big a deal because I'm totally cool with people of differing opinions.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I love having dialogue and understanding where you're coming from. As long as, we can be respectful and agree to disagree at the end of the day, that's cool. And she did not like that.
Oh, it was her way or the highway, basically.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, but you're so tolerant.
Yeah.
And it was that moment, I'm like, oh no. It was like my eyes were open, like, oh no. And so I think that's what, that parable in like my own life today, I think that's what it was, because I see where all that's gone now, and that could have been me.
Yes.
And then I could have declared that, my faith wasn't real and denied it and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to do that.
No, not at all. No, for sure.
But I definitely started on that path, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's interesting that you brought that up, because it's a great closer. I'm sorry, everybody, for the noise of this strange pump going on in the background. I know that it'll be somewhat annoying depending on how loud it is, but this has not been happening all day long at all until we sat down and started talking. So, but we're gonna have faith that this interview is gonna turn out great, regardless of that. What advice would you give to someone who is kind of in the gray area, is in the shadows like you were, and is grasping at straws of which direction to go in? What advice would you give them that they can take home and think about to try and come to a decision for themselves about the path they should be on, without telling them what path to be on?
Right. I would tell them to take a step back and start actually researching what's around them. Ask themselves why they are around that, and see if that's good enough for their mom, or if they have their own kids. That's always been a mentality of mine. What would I tell my daughter?
Right.
How would I raise my daughter? What kind of role model do I want my daughter to have?
Exactly.
And do I want her to just follow the masses, or do I want her to actually like be a critical thinker and start thinking critically? You know, just because everyone jumps off a bridge doesn't mean you should either.
I know.
So I think that would be my biggest thing, is just take a step back and really research and think about what you're around, because what you're around will influence you greatly.
God, that is so true. That is so true. I love that. Take some time out, do some research on your own.
Yeah.
You know, go down some of those rabbit holes about what it is that you're thinking, that you're believing in,
Mm-hmm.
and really find out if it's true or not.
Yeah,
right?
like
And
why do you believe what you believe? Can you
Yeah.
explain it to a 6-year-old to the point where they fully understand it?
it'd also be interesting is because I'm sure we're on the same wavelength on what we're talking about here, but also you could even try implementing some of these ideologies in a home environment and practice and apply them and see if they work.
Yeah, I mean that too.
You know,
Definitely. I mean, everything starts in the home anyway.
It does. It does.
Change starts in the home.
Change starts in the home. Now that right there is the best ending we could have. Change starts in the home. Thanks so much, Victoria.
Yeah, of course.
It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get her set up, and we'll be back to you later. Don't forget, Love America Tour loves you more than you will ever know. I was going to say more than you love yourself, but some of you may really, really, really love yourselves a lot. I don't know. We are saying goodbye now. That was an incredible interview. We really, really appreciate it so much.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
guess what? She's going to bring us by some dinner later. Isn't that nice? Isn't that sweet? I love it. This is what it's all about. And then we'll hang out and we'll have a chat later on, and we'll get to catch up even more. And I just hope that more of you start doing this kind of thing yourselves. You know, don't be afraid to have a dinner party and get together with some friends and socialize. It's very hot out. Nothing can survive this heat. Thanks again, babe.
Yeah.
We'll see you later.
See ya.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Love America Tour. Love America style. Love America. Oh! That is staying in.